So I'm supposed to start. I am supposed to start. Hi everyone. Hi to those people who are on Zoom and those on Facebook Live. I'm Karin Dolek, and we are trying to give some room to cultural operators and cultural artists from Ukraine via this platform online live. Thanks to Erika Weidmann for doing this with me. Thanks to Boris Eldachsen and the Deutsche Fotografische Academy for helping us so much with this technical support. We are going to have a little talk with Kateryna Radchenko, founder of the Odesa Photo Days photography festival in Ukraine. As a lot of us are not as aware about Ukraine and Odessa and the photography scene there, she's going to present us all this context first and then tell us the story of this festival and the growth of its influence about photography in Europe and European photographers. Thank you, Kateryna, and I let you talk about it.
Thanks a lot for this event and for that you organize this event. And hello, everybody. Like, my name is Kateryna Radchenko, and I'm from Ukraine. And it's like now it's much more, even more pleasure to tell this. Like this today, I would like a little bit like to tell about our festival and how it's actually appeared and actually how it was developed in Ukraine and why it was developed. And I just would like to switch to my presentation. So I think you can see it now. Yeah. Here's it. Actually, the idea was like to not just tell about Odesa Photo Festival, but like also like to tell how it's developed the festival during the war. And the story is that like in 2014, when the war starts, it was like a huge wave of manipulation in Ukrainian media, like because like first of all, of course, Ukraine wasn't ready in that time for the war and with Russia, and it was like a huge manipulation through the photography. And then I found out that like in Ukraine, we actually don't have the possibility to study photography. It's a long history, like it's connected to the Soviet time, it's connected to the censorship, to the propaganda, to a lot of things which comes from the past. And unfortunately, still is not possible like to get the education in photography in that way, which is like important, like to in the contemporary way, like to understanding of the contemporary ways of developing photography, like to be in touch with like international institutions and not just understand how to use camera. And the festival, it was kind of my reflection to create this platform for the photographers and to create the possibility to give the education and knowledge about photography, how not only make it, but also how to talk through the photography and how to read the images. And the first edition was established in 2015. And actually, it's not a good time to start the festival when the war starts, to be honest. But like, of course, we understood this because like the first years it was super complicated. Like we didn't had any financial support, we didn't had governmental support, and we have been new festival. And I could say that like all during this last 10 years, we are only one photo festival in Ukraine. And the things that like when we established the festival, the first 3 years, it was held in two cities, in Odessa and in Batumi in Georgia. And the reason for this, it was that like we weren't like we didn't know if the war will not progress to Odessa as well, because Odessa was also in the focus zone of Russia, and it still is. And we had a huge fight between pro-Russians and local people from Odessa in 2014, in 2nd of May. During that fight, like a lot of people died. So we didn't know if Odessa will be the safe place for the festival. And we decided, okay, we'll organize it in Odessa, but we'll keep Batumi as a parallel place where if something happens, where we can move. So 3 years we ran the festival in Odessa in April and then in Batumi in September, or end of August. But then its situation changed. Like it looks for us that it became a little bit more stable. So like in 3 years, we decided like only focus on the festival in Ukraine and like not trying like to spread the information like for the two countries. And we now calls only Odesa Photo Festival, and we are like based in Odessa. And actually like the first like when we organized it, like it was first of all the idea, okay, how can we support the Ukrainian photography, how can we develop it? And like I more or less like have this like few steps for myself. It was like a plan what we should to do and how we have to move and how we have to develop. So the first was like it's like to make research of Ukrainian photography, because like we had to understand what's going on in Ukrainian photography with like young artists and with like older generation. So the first year, 2015, we created the research exhibition about Odessa photography. It was research from the 19th century to the contemporary time. And then in 2016, we did the open call for the Ukrainian photographers. And then like it was a possibility for us to receive a huge bunch of the applications and really to understand who is working in in photography field in Ukraine, and like to see our audience, to see our potential partners. Then the next step actually it was uh, to see what is Ukrainian photography, but from the another side. And we decided like in 2017, like to invite the international curator and to work with Ukrainian artists. So again, we did the open call for the Ukrainian artists, but we invited Kevin Lee, it's curator and artist from Singapore. And he was created the exhibition, the main exhibition of the festival on the point of view of the make this research of Ukrainian photography. And then like the next step, of course, okay, like when we already knew the Ukrainian artists, it was to understand and to support and to discover the young photographers. And we decided like to make the competition Future Photo Days, which already exist 4 years. And this competition for the young artists from all over Ukraine, but the age is like 15, 18 years old. And each year we collecting like about like 100, 200 applications, and we tried like to make the short list and then to show them to the professional community during our festival, but also we show the best works in Busan Photo Festival in South Korea, and try like to show them in other places, like in other countries. The next step, it was the research of vernacular photography in Ukraine, because of course, like it's important part of to understanding the history and to understand the hidden messages of vernacular photography. And then like to provide these free educational programs, to bring international guests, and also like to make Ukrainian artists visible outside of Ukraine. So there was like our kind of our plan, which we developed during all these 7 years, 8 years was this year all together. But of course, this all this time, we it was a parallel. We exist in the war, like in the during like in the parallel to the war, because like of course like the war was in east part in Donbass, but still like we knew that Odessa first of all is in the focus. And to be honest, we all knew that like it would be the full scale escalation, but like we didn't know when. And we didn't want to actually to believe in it, but like still it's some kind unconsciously we knew that it happens, like it just was a question of time, and it happened this year. So like this is a few photos, like a few examples of how the festival actually looks like. So we did like the presentation of the photo books, we did the workshops, or like portfolio reviews. Of course, like the main exhibition, which is all like always like based on the open call and the work of the curator. The last years, the open call was for the international artists, because also it was important to bring the voices from around the world and like to tell the stories and to show the different ways how to work with the media photography. like we also work with a well-known artist. Like he has exhibition of the Anders Peterson, like we did it like in Odessa, and also like we invited Alex Sot from US, and it was like an amazing gathering together. And I would like to mention that like our festival, like during all this time, it's only our team is volunteering. Like we are not having the salaries, we are not having funds, like we are working as a volunteers. And because of this, like also for us, like the main idea was the festival has to be horizontal level. Like we don't have VIP, and we don't have stars. Like we have just people who like working with photography and who is interested in photography. And in this case, like we are really trying like to create this possibility that like everybody can meet, talk, to spend time together, and like to be in the same level, to share the knowledge, and like to share the ideas, and to find maybe the potential partners or whatever. Because like for us it's important that it will be not like someone is having like separate, I don't know, nice lunch or dinner and the others not. So like we are just like trying like to make it open, like the open parties, the open gatherings, the open communication as much as possible. Because like we believe that like it's not about the like different VIPs or whatever. It's like more about the sharing the knowledge and to develop this together. And two events which I really in our festival. It's like which one is, which I already mentioned, is Future Photo Days. It's competition for the young Ukrainian artists, which actually every year like we're receiving the application from the so small cities, so small villages, that it's really give us hope of the developing of Ukrainian photography. Of course, like some of them, they doesn't have any access to the schools or like any courses or whatever, but this is like the stories which actually comes from this from their lives, from the real life. And like the previous years we also received the photo stories from the young artists from Donbass, who actually already knew this what is war is, and they reflected through the photography on the situation. They made their photo stories about their life and about this. Like it was important like to see how kids could reflect and how they could use photography as like kind of way of pass it through and like really like to work with this. And another event, it's open mic, which is actually we are also like making every year. This is like a possibility for 10 artists like to present their projects. But the thing is that like this open mic, it's like there's no selection. So the first 10 artists who applied, they will do the presentation, and that's all. So like just like you have to be first. And of course like it's nice because like it's different level of projects and completely different different projects, different stories. And when it's like 10 projects which looks completely different, it's like brings really amazing feelings, like to see how different ways and different approaches could be. And also like open mic, it's open internationally. So like we had also presentation from the artists from Argentina, we had a presentation from Poland, and of course a lot of from Ukraine. And it's really nice because like this is possibility like to present your story, to present your work, and then like to have the feedback from the audience. And as well, we are working a lot in the public spaces because like for us it's important that photography will stay not only on the professional community, but also will be fun and bring the general people. And of course like every year we have the topic, and every year we would like bring the audience like to open the discussion through the photography and through our events. And this is example how we did the exhibition, and we used light boxes in the city, and it was the exhibition of Ukrainian artists. And another things which like also like quite popular for the general audience, it's evening screenings. And from one side I love it because like this is also the possibility like to show a lot of artists and a lot of photography from around the world, and that's exactly what we are trying to do, like to show like different stories. And from another side, it's like by the budget, of course, economically, it's much more possible than like to make the big scale exhibition or production, because also every production then brings the question, okay, what to do with the works after? Usually you destroyed it, but like when you don't have a lot of money, it's always painful way to destroy the works. And so like we are really focusing on these evening screenings, and we are trying like to collaborate with a lot of countries. And actually like we already used to work with more than 36 countries around the world, and we are always trying like to show photography not only from Europe but also from Asia. We collaborate with Cambodia, with South Korea, with Singapore, and from the same like we are like trying like to show the sorry. And also we are trying like to show photography from Latin America, and which is like less visible, I could say, because like we also like show the artists from Uruguay, and we did like the artists from Argentina. So like we are trying really like to focus on the different stories and different artists, and to show how the like what the stories are there, and also like what the how they are working with the stories. And for the these screenings, we are using like different spaces. Like for example, this is a church, and it's a nice atmosphere and nice like to show the here was the show of African photography, then the yard of the Museum of Contemporary Art, or the theater. Or for example, this is the beautiful passage in Odessa, and we already like 2 years like use it for the open screenings. And here actually we show the German photography last year, or like open open space places next to the historical buildings, and it also was super nice gathering and like to see these screenings with the music and then to discuss it. So this is like the briefly like about what like how the festival looks like, but also like we are trying not only work only for the festival, because like we are trying like to work during all year and to do the different activities. And here, for example, like you can see the book which we published together with the Finnish Museum of Photography, and it's called Images Tell Stories. And actually this is research of vernacular photography from Ukraine and from Finland, which we did together. And the next one, this is like the book which was published like last year by the Textual French company, and this is like the history of female photography. And like we did research and text about the Ukrainian artist Paraska Pletka Horetsvit, which like we research her archive and work a lot with her archive. And also like different exhibitions, like few years ago, like I did a project exhibition Body as a Propaganda in Latvian Museum of Photography. And also like, for example, into Kyiv, we brought the exhibition of collective Sputnik from Poland, and it was Lost Territories Phantom. And in this way, we are trying like to bring the different exhibitions to Ukraine, to show them, to show the different artists, but like in the same time, like to bring Ukrainian photography outside of Ukraine, and like really like to tell the stories, like using by the contemporary images, but also the archive photos of vernacular photography. And actually this was our action and our activities by 2022. And what I miss like by that time, yeah, so like actually there was like a kind of structure, and we used to work for it, and we like all the team is were volunteering. So, like we work with the spaces in Odessa and the partnership. So like we usually like receiving the spaces without payment, and just like we had to bring the good quality content. And we are collaborating a lot with this internet, like with embassies, like to bring the international guests to participate during our festival. But like everything is for free. Like we don't have we are not having any payment for the like any workshops or lectures or whatever, because like for us it's important that like it should be open and should really like be like to have access for everybody who is interested in photography. And of course, like for us, it's a possibility to talk about the important things, about like the things which is like in the global Ukrainian context. It's not just to show the pictures, but like more like to really start to discussion and dialogue. And this year, actually what happened this year. So like in January already, like in Ukraine, it was like kind of stressed and really like strange situation, because of course media started to talk a lot about the war and the full-scale war, and it's complicated, to be honest, to live in the country when you are waiting for the war, because you don't know when it happens, how it happens, and actually you don't know what is war, and it's you don't know how to react, you don't know how to be prepared, because like it's not possible to be prepared for this. And I wish that nobody knows what is this experience is, because like it's just like something completely out of understanding. And in beginning of February, together with my team, we decided to change our topic, because like before we wanted to focus on the post-truth, but in the beginning of the February, we decided to change our theme on the with the change of precipitation. And actually now it's not about chance; it's exactly this precipitations going on. And so we decided like that we have a little bit like to think about this different format, and we decided for this year to like not focusing on the exhibition, because like we thought that we had to be ready to move out from Odessa, and it should be something practically possible to move. And another like will, of course, like we are not able to bring and to invite any international artists, and unfortunately we had already agreements, and we had the agreements with the embassy about like list of the artists whom we wanted to bring. And a little bit like step back, like it's already like 3 years that like we're in this nice shaky moment, but from another like side we're already 8 years in this shaky moment, because like each year we don't know if the festival happened. It's always about money, it's always about the support, but also it's about this political situation in Ukraine, because like in 2020, of course, like the whole world had to change the format of work because of the coronavirus, and we as well during like 2 weeks we had completely like changed our program to the online format, which was like super stressful fast. And actually then I found out that we was the first festival who moved online, because we were like in April, and like we were the first one after the pandemic. And in 2021 we already planned the normal physical festival, but like the pandemic again a little bit crash our plans, because like we had the lockdown in Ukraine, and of course like last moment nobody like telling you when it happens, you just like receive the news it happens like tomorrow. So we had like it comes like 1 week before the festival, so we had like to move it super fast for 1 month later for May. And again like we have to cancel all the trips of our international guests. And now this year we have war in Ukraine, full-scale war, which completely like changed our plans. And from my perspective, what happened like 21st of February when the war starts, like I was in Kiev, and like I got this news from my parents in 6 a.m. and I had to leave Kiev. So now I'm in Lviv, in the west part of Ukraine, which is like most safe by now. But like, of course, we don't know if it will be safe or not. It's not. It's nothing clear here. We don't know what happens next. And when I moved here, like I started to think, okay, what is possible like to do? Because like now the festival looks like utopia, but like as a lot of our photographers with whom we are working together, they had to become the war photographers, and actually they don't have any experience of it, but like they had to, because like they're staying in their cities, and as you know, men can't leave Ukraine, it's not possible, so they have to stay in their cities. It's even complicated to leave some cities. It's very complicated to leave from Kharkiv, it's impossible to leave from Mariupol. It's just like very dangerous places, and it's no chance to leave their city, so they're staying there. And they're making photos, they're shooting the stories of truth from the war. And because most of them doesn't have their internet connection, most of them doesn't have a time and doesn't have the possibility to share their stories, we decided that we'll be like kind of agency, like that we'll collect the materials from them, and we are trying to share these materials to the other countries as a publication or as an exhibition, and like to the exhibition to collect money to support volunteers, support artists, to support army. And like by now we already had like the publications in different countries. Like for example, here you can see it was published yesterday in Denmark and in Slovakia. Or like for example, the FK magazine from Latvia, they published the story of from Ukrainian artists, from Ukrainian photographers, or so like, and today it was published in Denmark. So like we are like trying really like to spread this information and like to show what's going on from one side, from another side, like by this way to support Ukrainian artists. And actually, like I started to thought about this because, like, you know, like nowadays there's so many international photographers coming here, but every international photographers, they need fixer. All of them needs fixer, they need a translator, they need a driver, and they need a lot of money to stay in Ukraine, like hotels, food, and everything. And I'm like quite often like asking myself why it's much more easy just like to buy photos from the Ukrainian guys who is there. It's like possible to save money from for the agency, but also it's like exactly the photos from frontline, and it's exactly the possibility to actually to support Ukrainians, because like these guys, they're risking and they're there and they're like doesn't have like, now it's like of course like the people doesn't have possibilities to work and to have normal work. So in this case, like I will like we are open, like if any of magazines, publications, media are interested of Ukraine, like photos from Ukraine, we are like I with pleasure will share these photos like from the different cities, because like our artists are in Kiev and Kharkiv, in Mariupol and in Odessa, so it's like possible like to get the visual information from all the cities, but also it's kind of the way to support the artists and like to really like to give them possibility to feel that they're important what they're doing. And this is like the photos of my colleague with whom we are doing the festival together, Maxim Finageev, and this is how Odessa looks like now. So our beautiful beaches and our beautiful city now is also like waiting for the escalation and waiting for the attack. And it's terrible like to live in this situation when you can't plan nothing, you're just waiting. And so this is my, I don't know if I manage here, I manage by my time. And this is like the, actually the site of web page of our festival. And also like I add in YouTube of Odesa Photo Days, you can find the videos from our festival, how it looks like before, and different like, and also screenings of our kids from the future photo days. And one more time, if you really feel that like you would like to publish the Ukrainian photographers, please contact me if you feel that you would like to show them somehow the same. Like now we are working only for this. We are working only for the sharing materials and stories from Ukraine. Thank you a lot. Please, if you have any questions.
Oh, lots and lots of questions about about your future, the future of photography in Ukraine, the future of Ukraine. It's overwhelming for all of us. I can't stay very long, but I just want to say that the photography starts at the beginning of May. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. The photography starts at the beginning of May. If it's possible, we would like to do two things. One, have a projection of Ukrainian photography in our main venue. And also, if we can organize it in time, print photos, not of very high quality, not very big, but 20 by 30 centimeter photos, lots of them, and make a wall of what's happening in Ukraine at this moment. If such a thing is possible, if we can receive if we can receive those, we'll do our utmost to put that in place. And we will also talk to the municipality and see what can be done here, because like all the town halls around Europe, they're extremely concerned about what's happening and want to do things to help. And since our festival is coming up, it's possibly a very good time to organize something like that. Does that sound feasible to you, Kateryna? Is this?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. We can contact directly, and I can provide the materials.
Well, Christian has been in touch with you by mail. He can continue. He's our artistic director. He'll coordinate that side of things, and we would, at the very minimum, we can do a projection. The very minimum, we would try and do an exhibition as well. That's what we're working towards, because I think it's important, even if the prints are small, even if they're not high quality art prints, but it's important to see this. I'm thinking, I imagine that, like you said, the photographers who are out there now, who can't go out and take anything other than photographs of their city their cities as they stand at the moment. This is important because I've just finished watching a documentary on French television about Odessa at this moment, where we see the center of the town, the magnificent center of the town, the beaches being with people filling sandbags and things like that. I didn't know what Odessa looked like before that. Now I do a bit, and I think it's important that we see that, and we see the effort, the heroic efforts being made.
Thank you.
So can we think about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. We are open for this.
Good.
We are ready for this.
Good. Okay.
I would also like to add that Kateryna provided a list of possible addresses to donate money and help. Yeah, so we put that list also on our webpage, but I think Kateryna can also then give guidance.
Right. Good.
And I hope that we all will meet soon in the peaceful Odessa.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say, Boris. We're going to put the list of the websites on the webpage. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, just
Thanks
wait a
Kateryna.
second. I think Ingo would like to say something. But Ingo, you would like to say it in private, I guess.
Yes, I don't want to be recording. So I think what we have done is that is very important, the recording. But
okay, then let us say here we record, we stop the recording and continue privately. Give me